Hi there. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at Extra Practice Module 71. And this one's all about the market for labor. There's some interesting stuff in here. Some of it is valuable for our class, and some of it's not actually really pertains that much, and I'll kind of point those out as we go through it. Formerly, Clive was free to work as many or as few hours as he liked. But a new law limits the maximum number of hours he can work to 35. Explain what circumstances, if any, he's made worse off, equal, or better off. Worse off would be if he used to or if he used to work more than 35 hours. Like if he used to work 40 hours a week and he wanted to do that, then now he's worse off. B, equal if he used to work less than 35 hours. Like, they only work 30 hours a week, he doesn't care. And then C, he's better off. He's never better off. Never. Because you can either be, if he's used to work greater than 35, he's worse off. He's never going to be better off from this law. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. So, this is maybe trying to get you to think about like worker protection laws, like a 40-hour work week. But like what a 40-hour work week really does is it says that if you work more than the set number, then you're guaranteed overtime pay. And so that's really what, when we talk about union negotiations for things like, 40-hour work week or 50-hour work week, what it's really referring to is that that's the base hourly pay. And then beyond that, you get time and a half. Number 2, explain in terms of the income and substitution effects how a fall in his wage rate will induce him to work more hours than before. So income and substitution effects are not something that are going to appear in the exam. I'll briefly summarize them so you understand what this question is even asking. Basically, the idea is that you can either work or you can engage in leisure. And the income effect is the idea that like if your wage rate rises, right, and that will induce you to work more hours because your income is higher, right? That's what the income means. So the income effect is kind of the thing that says if your wage rate is higher, then you'll work more because your income is higher. The substitution effect relies on the idea that like if your wage rate is higher, that will induce you to work more hours and do less leisure because the opportunity cost of the leisure is now higher. So it causes you to substitute some of your leisure time for your work time. And this one, it's saying a fall in his wage rate would induce him to work more hours. And that's the idea of the income effect kind of in a different way. And it's the idea of saying that the income falls when his wage goes down. So to stay the same income, he works more. And that's really all that's about. He works more. And that's, that's the underlying factor of it. It's not terribly complicated stuff. Again, you're not going to see very many questions about it. Number 1, which of the following is necessarily true if you work more when your wage rate rises? This would be saying the substitution effect dominates the income effect, which is saying like, that if you're working more when your wage rate rises, you're going to be substituting the work for the leisure, and that's better than basically the fact that your income is now higher. So you're like, I don't really need to work that much more. So D. This will not appear in your quiz. So this one will not. Number 2. Which of the following will cause you to work more as your wage rate falls? That's the income effect. So that's one only A. Work more as your wage rate falls. Yes, A. 1A, 2A, 2A. Think. I gotta think about that. Yeah, 2A. I just was explaining that. Anyways, that one also will not appear on the quiz. Number 3. Which of the following will shift the labor curve supply to the right? This will appear on the quiz because it's the supply and demand of labor. Decrease in labor force participation, women, no, that'd go the other way. Decrease in population, no, that'd go the other way. Increase in wealth, that would cause people to work less, so that would be a decrease, that's the wrong. Decrease in opportunity cost of leisure, that would not, no. Increase in labor market for women, that would cause the supply of labor to increase because more women would be participating, E. So that one could appear on your quiz. 4, an increase in the wage rate. The price doesn't shift the curve. So it's not going to shift, cause an upward movement along the labor supply curve, C. Hopefully you don't get that wrong in the quiz. Factor demand curve for a firm in an imperfectly competitive factor market is the same as which of the following? The factor, I mean, it's MRP. It's true for all of them though, D. Like whether they're imperfectly competitive or not, the demand for a factor, for labor or whatever it is dependent on the marginal revenue product. That's the value of whatever the thing is producing. Let's take a look at number 2. Draw a correctly labeled graph showing a perfectly competitive labor market in equilibrium, and then something, just labor supply, labor demand, marginal revenue product of labor, equilibrium wage, quantity, so forth. Okay, so free response 2. So we need a market. It's just asking for the market. So we'll just, oops, it's not a rental rate, it's a wage. Supply and demand. Demand for labor, supply of labor, marginal revenue product of labor is the same thing here. Equilibrium wage, W star, equilibrium quantity, it says L star. Okay, on your graph, illustrate how a decrease in the price of the product made by the firm would affect the wage and quantity of labor. So MRP, we keep writing this, is MP times the price. And so if the price falls, then the MRP is going to shift in, and that gives us L2W2. Hopefully that helped you. See you next time.